Now we can move on to the next bit. We are going to close the side seams. That is so simple. We're doing it in one go, and it gives us another little look here at our placket. Isn't that fantastic? It came out so well. Place the underarm seam on top of each other. One pin vertical to the seam so you can sew over it. You don't necessarily need to take it out when you're sewing, and then you don't really need anything else. I would just not pin this, but I'm just going to show you here the pinned version. And we're going from the lower end all the way up to the top on the one side and exactly the other way on the other side. So 1 centimeter seam allowance, back to that old thing. And you don't need to pull anything here or use a special stitch. It automatically will have a little bit of stretch in it. It's just what will happen anyway. Make sure that nothing falls over. I've actually removed the pin there because it's a little bit thick and I've only got one needle left, and if it breaks, it breaks. I have no other one, so I thought, nah, better take it out. And then you stitch all the way down to the other side, and of course you do that on the other side as well. And then you can move over to your overlocker and overlock it or serge it. Now I always cut a little bit off, because if you're doing your seam in one go, what you really don't want is any tension on the underarm. The wider the seam is, the more tension. So cutting it off and having a slimmer seam is actually a really good idea. So you could overlock and seam in one, certainly for the side seams if you wanted to, if your machine allows you to do that. This machine actually does allow you to do that, but I'm never really that happy with the seaming. I always think it's a little bit loose. So it's a cheap machine, but it's a goodie for all this, and it does everything else. And I use it every time I sew. Brilliant. It's come out really well. Now we're going to iron the seams, and the rule for that is always iron the seams towards the center back. And if you can't get the sleeve onto your sleeve ironing board, because it's a small size, this is a 223, so it might be big enough. You just open it out like this, put it over the edge so you don't get a crease in it, but mind you, it's jersey, it don't matter if you get a crease in, really, because it irons out so easy, and then give it a press. And you do that on both sides, of course. Cut off all your overlocking threads, always work really neatly, and turn it over just to give my neckline a little bit more of a press, and just have a look at it and say, ooh, I did so well. That's it. Now the next thing is, guess what? We're down to cuffs.